Hey, just like that, we're back once again. Happy Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Time for another RCS Live. As always, Nate Mumford, Director of Sales Engineering, hanging out with you today talking about designing your Optimum Zetta layouts. This came from being on the road for 3 weeks. We were talking to a lot of users. And one of the things that I'm really trying to promote, if you have watched a lot of these RCS Live videos, either live in real time on Thursdays or on your own time, over the weekend on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or Twitter Live. The biggest thing here is we want to empower you to understand what you can do with these RCS products. It's not about, hey, this is how we do certain things. We want to encourage you to, this is what I want to do. How do I do that inside of Zetta, right? That's the idea. And so I thought we would take a moment today and talk about some of those layouts. Hey, what's going on, Mark? We got our chat open as well, just so you know. Any questions for me, let me know. But we wanted to essentially go back to basics and remind you some of those foundational things, especially when it comes to layouts. Because a lot of times, users are like, this is the layout, this is what you can do. And you can see here, I have all the bells and whistles open on this layout. But we really do want to customize this based on what you need. And this all surrounds Zetta, very modern technology in regards to its detached playout. Typically, we have some type of service in the background on a server or a rack room that's running all of the play controls, the play, pause, stop functionality. And so instead, what we want you to do is say, hey, if I'm working on this station, then work on that station. If I want to switch profiles, especially with audio over IP these days. There's a lot more fluidity from the user perspective of what we can do. And yes, I know we're all wearing many hats these days in radio. So let's go and make our lives easier by sitting in one chair and doing multiple tasks. We have one of our clients with a brand new state-of-the-art facility, and you can do this course with everyday analog as well. But what they do essentially, they have 2 profiles on their board. Now, aside from any studio can be on the air, and of course with Zetta and its enterprise solution with multiple stations on there, what they can do essentially is it's 11:45. I do my 45 break, go into spots. I got about 15 minutes to kill before I do my next break. All right, I can switch to my production mode if I wanted to. And then from there, from the same chair, I just put the board in profile B or 2 mode. And then all of a sudden, I can use that as multi-track editor. I can then go do production. And then I can work on station B, voice track on station C. And then, oh, hey, my time is up. Put back on profile 1 on the board. And we, of course, pivot back to the on-air for station A. So yes, as you can see here, I have all my bells and whistles open. But let's start and keep it very simple. So we have the layouts right here. I'm going to have my layout drop down. I'm going to jump to my simple hot AC. Yes, this is very busy. Some users love it. Some users don't really care for it. And so what we're doing instead is building what we need. And I found that typically from my perspective, this is a great way to start off. So what I have here is essentially 3 modules open. I have my on-air module, my logs module, my library module. If you want to see more elements, bring it down, see more elements. Want to see less? Bring it up, see less. It's up to you. Again, the key thing here is once we adjust the widths of this, we're going to save this layout because this is the way that you want it. Right, Jeff? I'm looking at my little chat open here. It's the way that you want it. That's the idea here. And so what I can do is do certain things like, okay, well, all right, I'm going to make there's my on air. And you know what? I always like, because my station has live weather and traffic and all of that. I need to make sure it gets inserted correctly. So I'm going to adjust my widths here, right click on this column, do an insert, and I'm going to go here to the assets. You can see there's so much metadata here. Under the extra, there's the last modified date. So I'm going to put that in there just like this, and I'm going to make it nice and clean so I can see it correctly. There's my last modified. There's my sound code. This is great. I'm going to save my layout, right? Again, what do I want to see on my screen? And again, with Zetta's detached playout, we can pivot between all of these if we wanted to. So I can have a production, have a multi-station, have a station A, a station B. And yes, we can even lock some of these as well because there are some users who want to keep things simple for them, right? We don't want to complicate things. Here's your layout. There's your logs. There's your library. Call it a day. And though I don't like to say this, I will also admit that sometimes when we, move from an older system of 20 years to Zetta, a lot of times users are like, I'm so used to that layout. And yes, we can rebuild it. But again, I want to encourage you and empower you to start to think that, hey, this is what I want to do, not just because this is the way I've been doing it for 20 years, the way it has to be done, right? And you can see here, I have tabs down here in the bottom. I have my hotkeys and my Zetta multi-track editor. What I can do here is I can left click on this tab below and notice this little grid here that pops up. I can go ahead and snap this to a grid just like this, right? You can see that. So again, up, down, left, right, I can move it around. And if I put it in the center, that's going to give me the two tabs side by side. And also note, by the way, notice if I grab this header here, it's going to grab both tabs, right? That's what it's doing there, both tabs. If I want to do the individual one, I click down here and then I move it over as well. And of course, don't forget there's a far left, far right, far top as well for additional screens. And if you do want to have a second monitor, all you have to do there is just duplicate it on the right-hand side. And again, you can dock these accordingly on your side monitor as well. A couple tips and tricks. So I'm going to take this and just float it. And you might be like, oh, I forgot to snap into a grid, or for whatever reason, it's here floating as round. We want to fix that. Notice how if I left click, see how we have the options there? Now, ready for this? If I click on, that's a little shortcut that maybe people don't realize. If I hit the control key on my keyboard, that allows you to essentially move this freely without having to worry about docking it. And it's really helpful, especially down here, because you can see that I don't have any issues. But if I go ahead and go here, Zeta is asking you, hey, where do you want me to dock this? Up, down, left, or right, or the tab? And so if you don't want to see that, grid, all you have to do is hit the control key. That's going to hide that for you as well. Some users kind of will go and say, hey, I'm going to open up my Z player and just kind of float it down here for a quick second. And you notice, again, on the control key, that disappears all that stuff. So some users like to see that as well, just so you know. Any questions for layouts, let me know. I'm here to help out. Again, back to basics. We're designing our layouts the way that we want them to be outlined. Again, notice up here, we have the layout, we have the layouts. These are all the options that I have created personally. We have, when we're at NAB, we got the 4K TVs and all of that. So yes, we can scale as well for the 4K TVs. We can also scale for those who need, bigger fonts as well. I always tell users there's kind of a scale here. We can always adjust the themes and appearances. We have videos in the past on that. You can just check out our RCS live series in the archive. That's rcsworks.com/RCS-live. And all you can do there is look up themes, appearances. I think there's a video on there that we did in the past. And the idea there is I want to customize this particular screen, right? So I might adjust you can see here, there's the themes and appearances. So I can adjust the font size here as well. Where it gets is kind of the resolution in Windows versus the font size. And me personally, I think there's kind of a comparison between the two. And so you might do a little bit of bump in the font and then maybe a bump in resolution. But if you go too much in the resolution, things get cut off. If you get too small in the resolution without bringing the fonts up, it's not going to help you either. So from my perspective, I do a little bit of a font bump and then a little bit of resolution bump as well to achieve those results for you. That's just me personally. In addition, so we had those layouts here. These are all of our layouts. If I go to the manage layouts, that's going to give you this window here to show you exactly the available layouts and what's going on. So you can see these are public versus station specific or user specific. And these are some locked one as well. And all the locked one means if you try to left click and move things around, they're locked. You can't move them at all. Something like that, right? And you can see here, I created a multiple stations one as I was playing around with this earlier. I'm going to make that public so everybody can see that one, right? And so then at this point in time, if I wanted to swap to a different layout, right? Let's just say I wanted to go to something like you can see here, a production layout. This was a layout that I had for one user that was a production director that this was actually his layout, the way he liked it. So you can see here, it starts off with a very large multi-track editor. It's got the library here on the right-hand side. It's got the audition in the bottom left to preview any songs. And then he has a sub tab here for the song metadata. So it's very common for him to find, let's say, a spot, drag it in here to the song metadata field, have everything nice and clean and active. Look, all these nice tabs all organized here for him. And then from there, he would then, let's say, edit with the multi-track editor or just make their tweaks in the song metadata window here. But if you looked at this perspective, this is essentially a user that is taking, the traditional Zetta experience, and we're not seeing the on-air module. We don't see the logs because we're in production mode. And again, there's nothing harming you. If you can see my levels here on my board, if I switch back here to the simple hot AC, just like that, notice I'm still on the air. I can close Zetta, reopen Zetta. This is not going to affect the on-air product, and that's because of Zetta's modern detached playout. It's also where we can get things like Zetta to go as well. It's really helpful there too. And so we can do at this point in time is, let's just say, for example, we did production, we did on the air, we did kind of a hybrid where we have, the Zetta editor down below here. We had all the bells and whistles on a very complicated layout. We had a very simple layout as well with just a couple modules if you want to do that. But then at the end of the day, maybe we have, a different task. Maybe there's the last man or woman standing on the Sunday nights, and you have a 3-station cluster. You just kind of want to make sure that things are on the air and working. Well, there's nothing stopping you from having multiple of the same exact modules open, just looking at different stations. So one of the things that I've been kind of, encouraging users to do is have essentially a 3 layout here. So we have this going to load up with hot AC, this is going to load up with classic rock, this is going to load up over here with essentially top 40, right? Now, these would all be playing in unison at the same exact time. I just have my one little demo machine right here. But you can see I have a nice, clean on-air log, on-air log. You want to see more of these? We can always drag this down and see a couple more elements that are queued up. This also, by the way, sometimes, depending on what information is on the screen, this can look really fancy for an entranceway for a radio station. You can really go and have a very clean look like this is my stations. This is what's playing on right now. Some users will go, and as you can see here, the log module does include what's playing on the air. So what some users might do is they'll remove the on-air and leave the log modules for a 7-station cluster on the screen. And it looks really clean, really fancy, a big screen TV in the waiting room. You walk in, hey, look at us. We're playing this on the air live in real time. So as you can see, that's a really, really cool functionality that a lot of users love to do there. So, so I highly encourage you. Again, last call for questions here in case you have any questions in regards to layout. But again, just to summarize, I'll switch back to my simple hot AC. The idea here is that we want to empower you to design this the way you want to design it. If you're like me and you have 3 minutes to do extra work, I might jump over here to my Zetta multi-track editor and do some production on the fly in between breaks. I mean, this is so simple. I've done videos on the multi-track editor. I mean, even I got a minute and 4 seconds. I can take this here. These are 230s, do a 10-second tag as well. Like, this is my tag for RCS Live. Woohoo! And then all of a sudden I can take this, I can save this asset inside of Zetta, outside of Zetta, wherever I want to do that. And then boom, just like that, even though I'm on the air for station A, I'm doing production for station B. I can go back to the log module here. I am on the air. I'm in studio A working on station number 1. Well, I can always jump to a separate station and I can go ahead and voice track if I wanted to, right? Stuff like that. So again, the fluidity of us, we want to go and do production and then do on the air. And then I want a complicated layout. I want a simple layout. Notice I'm giving you the choice of what you want to do. And that's the beauty of Zetta. When we talk about a modern radio automation, it's all about what you want. It's not the limitations of the software. We have different ways to achieve the same goal, depending on how you interpret those different solutions, right? So it's really about you. So as I said, definitely check out the archive over for past videos. We have videos on the theme. Here, I'll do a scroll this time around. We have videos on themes and appearance. One of the things I didn't get to was Zetta to go. Just so you know, Zetta to go works on essentially a little more restricted modules. You can have up to 6 modules open at any time over in Zetta to go. But of course, you can flip those around any way you want. And again, not going to affect the on-air product either. But that's a very powerful tool as well. You can check those layouts out over on our archive, rcsworks.com/rcs-live. There's a great video called Zetta to Go Deep Dive. If you want to check that out, that's a great way to see the layouts on there as well. So hope you enjoyed this one. This is just, again, a powering video that know what you can do. Again, you can lock it, you can expand it, and get, maximize your efficiency. That's the goal here for today's RCS Live. So if you haven't noticed yet, by the way, I'm in vacation mode. I'm heading on vacation next week, and I think the week after I might be gone as well. We'll see. So I will catch you. Don't forget to check out the archive, rcsworks.com/rcs-live for all of the past videos as well. And I'll see you when I come back from vacation, hopefully with a nice little tan going on here. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.